It's Julia Papworth with Waiver Wire wins for Win Daily for week 17 of the NFL fantasy season. This is it, guys. This is the last week. We are on the road to winning fantasy championships. You can find me on social at Julia Papworth. All right, guys, let's get going. It is the last one. So with players this week, you are either picking them up to start them or you are picking them up to block your opponent from starting them. That's it. Plain and simple. We're not holding on to anyone anymore. There's no just in cases. There's no future good matchups. This is it. So if you have to go with a quarterback, if you are in a streaming situation, these are the two that I would go with. I would either go with Baker Mayfield. He is 64% rostered, or I'd go with Derek Carr, who is 39% rostered. Ironically enough, they play each other. So I think here, Carr is the better matchup per se, but I kind of trust Baker Mayfield a little bit more. Last week, Baker was 26 for 35, 283 yards and 2 touchdowns. Carr was 27 for 40, 319 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Again, I hope you are not in a position where you're left to streaming a quarterback. But if you were somebody who started Flacco last week, great matchup. It paid dividends. It was perfect. He does not have a good matchup this week, so you might have to pick up Mayfield or Carr. If it looks like there is any chance that your opponent might need a quarterback, try to grab these guys. Put them on your bench, even if you don't need them. So Khalil Herbert, 45% rostered in Chicago. He had 20 carries for 112 yards with 1 touchdown. Now, Deontay Foreman was out. It was a personal issue, so we kind of don't really know where he stands with that. I wouldn't be starting Herbert if Foreman is active. And also, they are playing against Atlanta, and Atlanta's brutal against the run. So it's not the best matchup, but if Foreman's out and you're stuck, you might have to start Herbert. The biggest pickup of the week has to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He's only 36% rostered, and the irony of Clyde Edwards-Helaire winning fantasy championships would be absolutely hilarious. He only had 4 carries this week, 6 yards. He was 3 for 3 with receptions for 42 yards. But Jerick McKinnon is on IR, and Isaiah Pacheco had perhaps the worst week just in general as a player and a person. I don't know if you saw him falling through the table when he went on to go in the blue injury tent. That was sad. But he's injured. He's back forth. We don't know if he's going to be back. If he is back, you're not starting CEH. But if both of those guys are gone, he's your guy. That's really what it is. Another start, if the injury sort of lets it happen, is Zamir White, Vegas. He's 30% rostered, 22 carries, 145 yards, and a target last week. It's clear that Vegas is committed to the run. They have a plan and they are sticking to it. And if Josh Jacobs is out again, Zamir White is the guy. I would definitely pick up Zamir White, kind of hold on to him if you happen to be playing against someone who has Josh Jacobs. I don't think that person would not have Zamir White on their team at this point, but if that's the case, get him now. Throw everything at that. Finally, Justice Hill, he's 20% rostered, 10 carries, 26 yards, 3 for 3 with 31 yards. I would not be starting Justice Hill unless it is a very deep league, but guys, we play in all sorts of leagues, so you might be at a point where you have to start Justice Hill. That is what it is. He is a running back who is on the field and healthy, and there you go. There are a few more options here. First of all, Romeo Doubs, he's 57% rostered. He was 4 for 5 with 79 yards and 1 touchdown. It seemed like for Doubs to get going, he needed pretty much everyone to be injured on the Packers. So this is a start that you kind of need to monitor the injury situation. Jaden Reed, if Jaden Reed is still out, Dontavian Wicks, that's another one too. And unfortunately, they do play Minnesota, which is a pretty tough defense. But if it is only Doubs, that is something to consider. Next person up, I'd say Rashid Shaheed. He is 44% rostered. He was 5 for 9 with 70 yards and a touchdown. Again, he is somebody that has a high ceiling, but he might not have a high enough floor for you. Somebody to snag if your opponent had some wide receiver injuries, perhaps. Definitely look at Shaheed. He's low rostered enough that you could be able to get him. Demario Douglas, New England, 21% rostered. He was 5 for 8 with 74 yards last week. Look, I have enough faith in a wide receiver for New England as I have throwing him, I guess. Look, he's the guy there. Keep in mind that Hunter Henry may be back this week, and he would be the best New England pass catcher. So you gotta weigh it out. KJ Osborne, Minnesota, 17% rostered, 5 for 95 and a touchdown. Now, Osborne is definitely a pickup due to a lot of injury issues in Minnesota. It was just released today. TJ Hawkinson tore his ACL and MCL. He is out. It's tough. He's had a great season. It sucks that he's gone. Addison is day to day. You still have Justin Jefferson over there, but he's going to be covered. KJ Osborne becomes the next target. They play Green Bay this week. It's going to be a good game for both of these teams that are in the playoff hunt, so he's definitely someone to consider. Very low rostered. Finally, Demarcus Robinson, Los Angeles Rams. He's only 10% rostered. He was 6 for 6 with 82 yards and a touchdown ever since Tutu Atwell left. Due to injury, Robinson's been making the most of his targets. So he's somebody to look at. They have a great matchup this week. The Rams have a great matchup. They play the Giants. So Robinson's, I could see a really good dart throw with Robinson. He's oddly enough not someone I would want to play against because I could see him getting a long touchdown. Double check and see if Isaiah Likely is available. He's only 67% rostered, so there are some leagues where he is out there. He was 3 for 3 with 56 yards last night against the Niners. You have to look at him. You have to. And finally, Tucker Kraft, Green Bay Packers. He's only 19% rostered, 4 for 6 with 60 yards. Like we were talking up there with Romeo Doubs, if Jaden Reed is out again, if Dontavian Wicks is not playing, they have a very low amount of pass catchers. So at that point, it would be the Romeo Doubs and Tucker Kraft show. So he is definitely someone to look at if you had been streaming tight ends this whole time. Well, guys, that is it. I hope you have had an amazing fantasy season. We are almost done. We got a week left. Play that waiver wire like your life depends on it, like it does. And let's bring home some fantasy championships. Once again, I'm Julia. You can find me on social at Julia Papworth. And this was Win Daily Waiver Wire Wins. Good luck out there.